SEA students who do not pass for their first choice are not doing as well as they can. The concern highlighted by Director of the School of Education at UWI, Professor Jerome Delisle, during the Ministry of Education's first National Consultation on Education on Tuesday. He believes if this country is to become a high-performing education system, that outcome is not satisfactory. Sunil Lalla has more.
The answer lies in how do we make sure that we give everybody a fair chance.
Director of the School of Education at UWI, Professor Jerome Delisle, says if there is an alternative way for students to transition to secondary school, it must provide fairer opportunities. He noted there is no perfect policy, but said the SEA exam was initially implemented to achieve fairness. Professor Delisle said Trinidad and Tobago could take examples from other high-performing countries who have removed that aptitude test to transition to another level of school, but believes this country must first deal with bringing all schools to a high standard.
As long as we have schools of different quality, the issue of choice would come up, because no parent is going to willingly say, I don't care, put my children wherever.
Meanwhile, former Chief Education Officer Harilal Sicharan believes there is needs to review the current system, citing some challenges that may occur within the current placement based on merit.
Students are placed based on performance, and therefore you have students who may need more support, all of them being placed in one school, and that may not be the best recipe for improving the system.
A recommendation was put forward by a caller during the consultation on whether continuous assessment could be introduced to ease the transition. Mr. Sicharan said at this point in time, all things are being considered.
If we are to move towards those 21st century skills, then they need to re-examine the SEA, and whether we move to a one-step process or a multi-step process, we need to revisit that SEA, whether it's in the current format and what is that really, or whether we move it.
Mr. Sicharan said he believes the SEA exam has the most impact during a person's educational life, but reminded that this is simply a placement examination tool. Sunil Lalla, TTT News.
Is Trinidad and Tobago producing a citizen the country can be satisfied with at the end of the education experience? One of the questions from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley at the Ministry of Education's National Consultation on Education last evening. The ministry is seeking feedback from the public on 7 key areas of education, including the conduct of the SEA exam. Prime Minister Rowley acknowledged that this country has done well in the past few decades in education, but said a review is required to be in line with the current needs of the education system.
But the one thing that we cannot say is that we have not had some significant success with what we have done in the last 40 or 50 years in Trinidad and Tobago. However, having said that, it does not mean that there are not serious shortcomings which need to be addressed.
He said this was merely a discussion about the future of this country and urged people to listen and take into consideration all the different views and recommendations arising out of the consultations in the next few weeks.
Is whether the population is prepared to make the adjustments that an honest and open discussion would throw up for us, because certain recommendations will arise, and some of those recommendations will be far-reaching with respect to the implications for who does what.
The 7 key areas being discussed are the conduct of the SEA, the Concordat, curriculum reform, blended learning, the role of the Teaching Service Commission, involvement of parents in education, and teacher training.